Hey, what is up, podcast people? Welcome to another day, another episode. Josh coming to you here. If we have not met, and excited to get these podcast episodes rolling again for 2026. Man, today no fancy studio, just chilling on my little chair on the floor. But it's because I have something I need to say. Like that, it's just been on my mind. It's been the crock pot of the brain that I'm passionate about, and I feel like I'm so passionate about it. There's so many thoughts I'm still figuring out, but I think I have enough thoughts figured out to speak on a couple things. And it's just this with Gen Z, and I'm a Gen Z. I gotta put my phone on do not disturb, or my ADHD will take me everywhere. So I'm Gen Z, born in 1999. Man, right there with it. I'm 26 years old. I'll be 27 this year. So I'm kind of on the tail end of Gen Z. I've been in young adult ministry going on 4 years now. So would identify as a young adult, depending on how you define it, but also been working with young adults the past 4 years, 18 to 25-year-olds, seen them, loved them, conversations, observations, college campuses, God movements, all the stuff with Gen Z, as much as I can get absorbed of Gen Z. And there's one thing I've noticed recently with Gen Z, and it's this: we as in Gen Z, we are attacking truth. Like, we are putting a attack on truth. And I think the church stereotype with that is Jesus is the truth type of thing, and our mind automatically goes there. But I'm talking about beyond that. So outside of John 14:6, Jesus is the truth. Yes, that is true. And I think there's an attack on Jesus being the one true God, the deity of Christ. That's a slice of the pie. But I think there's more slices to this pie to make up the entire pie. Like, I think there's just a generic attack on truth. Like, just things that are true. Like 2 + 2 = 4. North, the directional navigation of north. No matter where you stand in the world, north will always be in the same direction. You may have to turn left, right, but north is not going to magically, the directional north on your compass is not going to move to a different GPS coordinate. It's going to be in the same spot. The directional north is an absolute truth, no matter where you are in the world. It's going to be the same. It's going to lead you towards the same finish line if you're following the direction of north. The sky being blue. If you walk outside, the sky's going to be blue. It may be cloudy, maybe rainy, but it's going to be blue. Like, there's just some factual things, facts, logic, evidence, and truth that I think we are just repulsed by. I think Gen Z, we are almost offended and disgusted towards facts, evidence, logic, and truth. Holistically, I think there's some parts in society where we submit ourselves to truths that are established by a third party thing, but we have to submit ourselves to it. For example, anything with finances, right? A bank, Gen Z, you're applying for student loans or an apartment lease, you're buying your first house, you're doing all this, applying for your first credit card or your first car loan, auto loan. You're doing a lot of financial moves right now, and you are not the one who dictates how much the bank lends you for stuff. Right? Whether if it's for a house, whether if it's for a car, whether if it's for a loan, right? The bank, whoever's in charge of the money, the mortgage lender, the bank, you're gonna fill out their credit application. They're gonna look at your debt. They're gonna look at your job history. They're gonna get your pay stubs. They're gonna look at all this information, and then they're gonna tell you, hey, we are willing to lend you X amount of dollars. If you're buying a house, hey, we are willing to lend you. You've been approved for $200K. If you're buying a car, hey, we'll lend you $30K. We'll lend you, or your credit card limit is going to be $6K. Whatever it is, the bank is going to determine that truth for you, and that doesn't change based off of how you feel, right? If you're buying your first home, you go through the mortgage lender process or the bank process. You fill out all their application info, and then they tell you, okay, hey, you're approved for $200K. That's your house budget. No matter how you feel, like if you feel like, man, but I feel like $300K. I feel like, man, I can get a bigger house, better house, all the things. I make good money. I DoorDash on the side. I feel like I'm worth $300K. I feel like I can buy a $300K house. And then you go back to the bank and say, yeah, but I feel like $300K is the right number. If they've told you $200K and you're coming back with $300, what they are going to tell you is find a new mortgage lender. Because if you're trying to loan out $300K when they only approved you for $200, they're going to say, man, that's a risk that our bank is not willing to take on because we don't think you can afford it. Like, the bank is going to establish the truth the budget for you, that you have to submit yourself to. And I think at Gen Z, we may not like it, but we submit ourselves to that. Like, we see the logic, we see the evidence, we see the facts, we see those truths, and we say, okay, that makes sense. If I'm approved for 200, that's the budget. I make this much. I can pay this mortgage payment or this apartment lease, whatever. And we submit ourselves to that, and we don't protest, we don't riot, we don't do whatever. We're not offended by it. We submit ourselves to it. I think when it comes to anything finances, we submit ourselves to that idea. A gym membership, just another weird example. If you any gym, Planet Fitness, Crunch Fitness, YMCA, 24/7 Fitness, whatever gym it is, they all probably have some type of membership subscription. You walk in, you give them their phone number, you scan the QR code, you scan the barcode, and probably get the first however many times free. So let's say you use up all your free times, and then you walk in again. They're going to say, all right, what's your phone number, or scan your QR code. And if you're like, man, I understand the truth that the gym, or the rules, or the logic and the facts that the gym has established, that I only have a certain amount of free times, and after that I need a subscription, and therefore in order for me to enter this gym and work out, I must have the membership to scan the QR code or the barcode. But if you're like, man, I don't, not for me. Like, that can be true for somebody else who walks in. They have to get the membership, scan the QR code. That's true for them, but that's not going to be true for me, because I feel like I deserve to be able to work out for free. So let me just keep coming for free. If you try to do that, they would trespass you. They would call the cops, and they would eventually trespass you off their property. Like, we see that logic and evidence, and I think we submit ourselves to that. We say, okay, for a gym membership, I get this many free times. After that, I need to get a membership, and I can go in. I don't want to get trespassed. Okay, like, I think there are aspects of society where we look at logic, we look at facts, we look at evidence. There are truths that are established outside of our control that we submit ourselves to. And some of these truths are absolute truths. And this is the thing I'm so passionate about with a absolute truth, is that it is true no matter what. It's true no matter what, an absolute truth. 2 + 2. No matter where you go in the entire world, no matter what culture, no matter what language, no matter what country, no matter how many flights you take, how many boats you have to ride on, no matter where you are, no matter how old you are, doesn't matter, male, female, whatever variables you want to include, nothing will change the fact that 2 + 2 = 4. In kindergarten, if I have 2 M&Ms and you have 2 M&Ms, and we put those M&Ms together, we're going to have 4 M&Ms. Nothing changes that, no matter where I am in the world. That is an absolute truth. No matter how I feel, if I feel like I should have 5 or I feel like I should have 3, nothing will change the fact that if I have 2 M&Ms and you have 2 M&Ms, and we put those M&Ms together, we're going to have 4. Like, 2 + 2 = 4 is an absolute truth. It's true no matter what. It's truer than true. It's objectively true. If you want to go the theological route, the word for that would be aletheia. John 14:6, the word truth there is aletheia. John 17:17, I believe 17:17 or 17:7, aletheia pops up again. 1 Timothy 3:15, aletheia pops up again. It's absolutely true, objectively true, truer than true under any circumstance. It's absolute truth. The direction of north, I mentioned this earlier, right? No matter where you go in the world, the direction of north is going to, if you're following a compass, it's going to lead you towards the finish line of north. It's going to put you on that arrow. No matter how, if you feel like north is to the left or you feel like north is to the right, no matter how you feel, nothing will change the objective truth of north finishing in one direction. Like, these are absolute truths. The sky being blue. If you feel like the sky is green for you because that's what makes you happy, and you walk outside, nothing's going to change the fact based off of how you feel. The sky's not going to magically turn green. Right, the sky being blue, holistically, sometimes it's rainy or cloudy, don't get smart. The sky being blue isn't an absolute truth. So I think there's some absolute truths in society that we submit ourselves to, and we're like, man, I'm cool with that. 2 + 2 = 4. The sky is blue. Gym memberships, mortgage lenders, finances, credit. Okay, man, I'm cool with that. That makes sense. But if you take that same process of thinking, that same route of logic, of facts, evidence, and truths, and you apply that to a couple of these other things we're about to talk about, we feel like we are being attacked. Like, we feel like it's a personal attack against us. Like, a Gen Z holistically, like, we feel Like we are just attacking truth. We're attacking facts and we're attacking evidence. And it is leading us to some terrible, dumb decisions and terrible thinking. Terrible, not, I guess dumb would be a better word. Like it's just leading us towards some very unwise thinking. And just a couple examples. My setup's not the best. I'm throwing the laptop on the lap here. Laptop on the lap. That's funny. I wonder if that's why they call it a laptop. I never thought about that before. Like just some absolutely truths that are probably more pressured, in our society here. Like the idea of biological sex, sexual identity, like people's identity, our identity, like biological sex, male and female. At the moment you are born, and even before that, the moment you are conceived, that you have a biological sex of either male or female. That is an absolute truth. Science, evidence, facts, that is an absolute truth that does not change based off of how you feel, based off of how you think, based off of what is the emotional consensus of the group, based off of what is trendy on TikTok or Instagram. None of that changes. Like this is an absolute truth. 2 + 2 = 4. Sky is blue. Gravity. You jump off the cliff. Gravity is gonna work. Like absolute truth. Like so before, like when you were born, before you even learn how to think and develop thoughts and understand how you feel, you are biologically male or female. Now, how you feel about that can differ, right? Whether if you would disagree or agree, but it doesn't change the truth that exists. Right, so our biological identities. I love Genesis 1:27. Bringing the Bible into this. For he said, "For let us make man in our image, male and female." So then he created him. Oh man, Genesis 1:27. So let us make man in our image. So in our image, male and female, he created them, male and female. Let's talk about Genesis 1:27. That God created male and female. And I like the word us because it brings in the Trinity, another theological combo. But this idea of binary, male and female, that God thought of it before we ever did. And however, it's an absolute truth for you, whether if you're a Christian or not, believe in God or not, believe in the Bible or not, it's kind of irrelevant in this absolute truth. That yes, God created it and designed it, but that doesn't change. That's not only true just for the Christians. Like that absolute truth carries over for everybody. That you have a biological sex of male and female, regardless if you're Christian, regardless if you're Muslim, Buddhist, atheist, agnostic, whatever, you have an absolute truth of male and female. And I think we as Gen Z, we understand the logic behind that, the evidence behind that, but now it feels like an attack because it hurts our feelings, holistically, culturally, Gen Z wide. Like we look at that, it's like, man, yeah, but that feels harsh. That's not good. What if I disagree? Like our feelings and our emotions start to play into this, and we let the emotional consensus dictate what is then true. Like we get the group huddled together, be like, man, so what does y'all's emotions say? What makes you what feels right? But again, here's the thing about absolute truths that I think we are attacking, and it's not wise, it's not smart, it's gonna harm you actually. Is that it's not going to change based off of the emotional consensus, like the consensus of the group. If everybody agrees, then hey, we all agree. That doesn't change what truths exist. So like if you are letting your life be, if you're letting the truths of your life be defined by the emotional consensus of your friends, you're going to be making some terrible decisions that are not wise. And I say this not to judge, not to shame, not to bash, but I observe it and I see the attacks we are making on just simple logic. Simple evidence, simple facts. And it's like we are now so then if you live your life taking away logic, taking away facts, taking away evidence, taking away truths, then what are you left with? Unfactual things, lies instead of truths, and you're not following any law. Like it's going to cause you harm and a lot of other people harm at the same time. Some other things that other truths that I feel like we are just attacking. And I think it's just this idea of it being true regardless of how we feel. Like I think that's the foundation. Like, man, we don't like the fact that things are true regardless of how we feel. We want our feelings to then dictate what is true. Is moral issues or moral absolutes. Like we love the phrase that, that could be true for you, but not for me. No one can define morality for everybody else. Like, who are you to tell me something? Harm is only a moral standard. The morality aspect, again, bringing in an emotional consensus that if the group thinks that no harm was done, then no harm was done. If the group thinks harm was done, then harm was done. It's a very kind of almost like a jury, but from an emotional consensus, not a facts and evidence. Right, in a courtroom, there's a jury, and they're looking at the facts and evidence presented to them. If you're just looking at the emotional consent, like if our court system was established and the juries made a decision, the 12, however many jurors there are, 12, 13, I don't know. But if the jury, if the judge said, hey, jury, I want you guys to figure out if this person is guilty or not guilty based off of your emotional consensus. Let's just ignore the facts, let's ignore evidence, and let's just, man, if you can just be emotionally persuade one way or the other, let's let that define if somebody's guilty or not. Dude, that would be terrible, right? That would be terrible for our judicial system, for our legal system, for anybody in the legal process. That if that would not go well, a lot of people would be misrepresented, would be misprosecuted. A lot of people would go away free that shouldn't, and a lot of people would be prosecuted that shouldn't. Like if our jurors made a decision based off of emotion, but they look at facts, they look at evidence, it's presented to them, and then from that they say, okay, hey, this is what the facts and evidence say. Do we then, based off of that, find this person or this thing or this idea guilty or not guilty? We don't let but when it comes to morality, we then let our emotions dictate what is true. And that's what that's what's kind of, I believe, why we are attacking truths, that an absolute truth is true regardless of how you feel. But I think we are making a lot of unwise decisions by attacking truth, by ignoring logic, ignoring facts. We are jumping to conclusions way too fast, making way too many assumptions, and we are just ignoring truths, man. Sorry if I'm getting passionate about this, man. I get passionate about this. Anything morality, whether if it's marriage, what is a biblical marriage or abortion, anything around morality. I'm trying to think of other hot topic morality things. Marriage, abortion are probably your biggest ones. Immigration, foreign affairs, the economy. Those aren't really morality, but you could tie morality in it in some way, shape, or form. We let our morality judgment be based off of how we feel emotionally. Then what is true, what is right, what is the facts, what is the evidence? And I think you listening to this right now, you would agree logically, man, that makes logical sense. I should make decisions based off of what the facts and evidence say because I want the real thing. But then in some way, shape, or form, we get lost in translation, and the train gets off the tracks, and we start just going off of our feelings. Some other things that are just under attack from a truth standpoint is our feelings. That emotions describe reality for us. That our emotions, they describe reality, but they should not define reality. It's all feelings based. If it feels unsafe, then it is unsafe. If it feels right, then it is right. If it looks right, then it is right. If it feels wrong, then it is wrong. And again, I want to say this, and we believe that our truth is valid just because of what we feel. Our feelings are treated as evidence, and disagreement is treated as abuse. I mean, that is probably the best way I could put it, is that your feelings are treated or our feelings, right? We're in this boat together, Gen Z. Our feelings are treated as evidence, as if it is factual and logical and true. But then if somebody disagrees with how you feel, it feels like an absolute knockout punch to the gut. It feels like abuse. Man, if anybody disagrees with how I feel, cancel them, get rid of them, protest, right? Whatever. Block them, delete their number, put them, go ghost on them, whatever it is that when somebody disagrees with you, you treat it as if you're being abused. So when you come with your feelings based and emotion based, and then you are confronted with logic, facts, evidence, and truths, you now feel like you are being abused. I think that is the temperature of Gen Z, that when we come with our feelings first and our emotions first, and again, your feelings and emotions exist and they are your reality, and I understand that. I'm not trying to shame you for that. But just thinking out loud here, when we come with that, when there are issues, we need to figure out how we need to think, whether if it's anything political, how to vote, what to vote, who to vote for, foreign affairs, the economy, immigration, law enforcement, marriage, abortion, all these political, but also very moral, not amoral, moral, a space bar, moral things where we need to figure out, man, where do we land the plane on? We get our feelings and our emotions, we make a decision based off of that, and then when somebody confronts you with facts, evidence, logic, and truths, you feel like you're being abused because your feelings were confronted with truth. And I think that's the war that Gen Z we are in right now, is that when our feelings are confronted with facts, evidence, logic, and truths, we feel like we're being abused. Like, I think that's the climate we're in. Like, we have such a feeling identity, political identity. So when anybody attacks or questions or confronts your feelings, it feels like a personal attack because our feelings determine our identity. When somebody questions your political view, it feels like they just ripped the heart out of your chest because you've allowed who you are be made up by what you think politically. And then the idea with even kind of landing the plane with the Bible, and kind of bringing the absolute truth of the Bible. Like, man, there are absolute truths in the Bible. The Bible itself is a absolute truth, no matter what you think or feel. And I say this as I'm not trying to hit anybody in the head with a Bible. I'm trying to open our perspective on the climate we're in as a generation. Man, that if we can understand this idea that, and the comments, all the surveys would say, Gen Z, man, we want the real thing. We want the authentic thing. We want truth. It's like, man, we say that, but then the moment it confronts our feelings and our feelings don't align with the truth we say we want, we feel like we're being abused and we retreat, and then we play victim mentality. It's like, man, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's so captivating to me. Like, I find this seriously so captivating. Like, I want to do an investigative detective research on it. Like, we Gen Z, we crave truth, authenticity, the real thing. Give it to me straight. Tell me what is real, what is true. I don't want to be manipulated. I can see right through what is fake. I want the real thing. But then the moment the real thing confronts how you feel and your feelings don't align with the real thing, you retreat and run, and you play the victim mentality because you feel like you were abused because your feelings were confronted with truth and your feelings did not align with what is true. It's like, man, it's so captivating because it's like we say we want the real thing, but we actually don't want the real thing. We say we want the truth, but we don't want the truth. That old movie phrase, you can't handle the truth. Like, I think that's where we're at as a generation. Like, man, we want it, but we don't, until we're willing to realize that our feelings and emotions do not dictate what is true. And again, going back to these examples, right? The mortgage lender, right? No matter how you feel, no matter what your emotions are, they're only going to loan you a set amount of dollars. And we see that, we realize that, and we say, oh man, okay, that makes sense. So why do we change the rules to play? Why do we change the equation when it comes to other things? Like, if that is true, if we submit to that truth in a financial realm, and even though it may attack your feelings a little bit, why do then we try to switch the equation, change the rules to play by when it's other things? Like, why is it not equitable? Like, even Gen Z, like, we love justice, we love equality. So you are now living your life in a way that's not equitable. Man, if we wanted to take it that far, right? Because if you agree with me on this, the mortgage lender analogy or illustration, right? The bank will only loan you $200K, even if you feel like you deserve $300. They're going to tell you to take a hike, right? We're only going to give you $200. In order for your logic to hold water, in order for that to be true, in order for you to be just, in order for you to have and to be equitable, you need to carry that same logic of thinking over to everything else. That no matter how I feel, what does the facts, logic, and evidence and truth say? And then from that, let that then shape how I should think and believe, which then changes the way we feel. Hopefully this episode has at least brought perspective. I mean, I'm not trying to bring the hammer down and be the guy who makes decisions for everybody. But hey, this is how we should feel and think. Man, it's just so interesting and it's so captivating. And I hope this just if you're listening to this and you made it to the end of this, I hope it just opens your eyes a little bit to how you think, to the decisions you make, and how what you believe and why you believe it, the decisions you make and why you make it, how you on bigger issues, social issues, how you feel about it, man. Just simply ask: is the way I feel, does the logic and evidence support the way I feel, or do I feel, is my feelings contradicting to the logic and evidence? And I love the old, I was played high school football. Don't want to brag, varsity practice player of the year, but the football saying back in the day when I was in high school, but it's still true today in the NFL, is film doesn't lie, right? So no matter how you felt you played, like if the quarterback thought he had the best game of his entire life, or if I thought I played the best game of my entire life, man, I felt like I made every tackle, I didn't make one mistake. Man, there's the idea of when you go and you watch the film on that game, the camera, it's going to not lie. The camera's not going to lie. The film's not going to lie. It's going to tell you if you missed a tackle or not, no matter how you feel. It's going to tell you if the quarterback missed a throw or not, no matter how you feel. Like this idea that film doesn't lie. And man, I think that's a great principle to apply to your life. That film, it's not going to lie. 2 + 2 is going to equal 4. Logic, thinking, facts, evidence. Films is not going to lie because it's true. True things that are true will not lie, or it wouldn't be true, man. So I would plead, man, if I could put all of Gen Z into one football stadium and say this one thing: please know what you believe and why you believe it, and let that be based off of what the facts and evidence say. Look at the facts, look at the evidence, look at logic, look at truth, and then from that, discern how you should think, process, and make decisions. Do not make decisions off of a emotional consensus or how you feel, because man, I think you will be making a lot of harmful decisions for yourself and for other people. Man, there's so much there that we could talk about. So I pray this just hopefully opens our perspective, and we stop attacking truth. Like if we were to understand the blessing of things that are true, and we start to live our life by things that are true, that align with facts, that align with evidence, and align with logic, I'm a testimony. I will raise my hand and say your life is a lot more peaceful from that. And you have a lot of confidence from that to know you are believing and following and making decisions based off of the real thing. Man, so I pray this opened your eyes a little bit, your perspective a little bit. Thank you for making it to the end of this. Hopefully I did not distract you by just holding the microphone like this. But I love you guys, man. Seriously, not shaming anybody, not judging anybody. Just trying to open our perspective to stop attacking truth, because it honestly makes no sense. Because then if you're attacking truth, then you are backing a lie, right? If you're attacking things that are true, then you are supporting things that are a lie. So just simply ask yourself, hearing that out loud, if I'm attacking things that are true, then I'm supporting things that are a lie. Why am I supporting things that are lying to me? Just simply throwing that out there for you to reflect on. Man, love you guys, and hopefully we'll be back with some more episodes.